Kongversation.
Hello and welcome to the Kongversation, the last Kongversation of the year. I'm Hyle Russell and I will be joined by two co-hosts. Here's the first. Hello.
Hello, it's me, Joe Mudd. How are you?
Yeah, I'll be joined by Joe for the first part and then Cameron for the second part. So, Joe, we're going to be talking a little bit about what we think we'll see in 2018 as far as the Donkey Kong universe and Rare and Playtonic is concerned. So I figure for your part, we'll talk about Donkey Kong. We'll talk about what we think we'll see on the Nintendo side of things, as well as what we think we'll see from Playtonic as well. So, Joe, you know, it's always hard these days to get a good read on what we'll see, because more often than not, unless we're going into every year with like blind optimism, usually whenever they announce a Donkey Kong game, it's a surprise. We could say we saw it coming, we could hear it coming all we want, but more often than not, we're kind of always taken off guard or in guard.
In my experience, it always seems to be the year that I've lost hope, that I've given up expecting one. That's when it comes.
Yeah, I mean, 2010, I think most of us had kind of psychologically, mentally moved on when they announced returns. It wasn't the case with Tropical Freeze, but I also think there was that nagging voice in the back of our head that told us, well, you're not going to get anything. You're not going to get a new Donkey Kong game this E3. You're fooling yourself. You're fooling your readers. You are just goddamn fools. And that wasn't the case. Now, it's been a while since Tropical Freeze. Tropical Freeze was announced in the summer of 2013. The 5-year anniversary of Tropical Freeze being announced will be this June. So that makes you feel
time
old.
fly.
Yeah, good lord. Now, if it makes you feel any better, Tropical Freeze, the 4-year anniversary of it being released is only this February. So it still hasn't hit the half-decade mark as far as how long we've played it. But yeah,
but to think that I've bought a Wii U and a Switch in that time is insane.
Yeah, there's
like
now
been
been
abyss of time.
There's now been a longer gulf of time between Tropical Freeze and now than it was between Returns and Tropical Freeze, just to give you an indication of how long it's been since we've gotten a new Donkey Kong game. Now, ordinarily, this is the time when people would be sweating profusely, drinking heavily, playing Russian roulette, and saying, Nintendo's forgotten about Donkey Kong. We're never getting another Donkey Kong game. And Tropical Freeze sold really poorly, and nobody wanted it. They wanted Metroid. Everything sucks.
Well, I do all of those things every day, to be honest.
Well, I know you do, Joe, and that's why I wanted to have you on for this segment, because I want to talk you down off that ledge if I can. So basically, you normally get that kind of attitude right around this time, and I'm not really sensing that in the fan base. Now, a lot of that might be the Donkey Kong Country fan base has done a great deal of maturing. Yes, maturing since Tropical Freeze. I mean, we're all, entering our late 20s, our 30s at this point, and it's definitely something that comes with age is wisdom. We've been down this road before. we've always gotten around the bend to another Donkey Kong game. So, there is that kind of passive acceptance now. But I also think there is a certain vibe in the air, a kind of tickling in the force, if you will, that
tickling the foreskin. Sorry,
something is coming, Joe. Might be related to the foreskin, but there's something in the air tonight. Oh Lord! And
I mean, we know for a fact now that Retro Studios are working on something, and it's not Metroid. Metroid is being made by, I can't remember who, but someone that's not Retro.
I don't even have they even said who it was. Yeah, I've been paying attention, but. It's been like, oh, yeah, Retro's not doing Metroid. Now, I don't think they're making a new Donkey Kong game, but we know we've got this coming. We know we've got a couple of things on the way. One, there is the Super Nintendo World theme park in Universal Studios Parks, and we've seen the blueprints for the Orlando, Florida Universal Studios that will have an entire section for Donkey Kong, including a Donkey Kong minecart coaster. So when you look at the actual plans for this, a good chunk of this park, this wing of Universal Studios dedicated to Nintendo, will be dedicated to Donkey Kong. This is not something Nintendo would sign off or agree on if they had no plans for Donkey Kong. So that's a little bit of a buoy in our lifeboat, I guess. It's something to bolster our spirits. I'm mixing my metaphors, but we are definitely raising above the depths here.
Yeah, I mean, because if it was still considered just like, because I see a lot of merchandise where like it's Dixie and Diddy Kong toys, and it says Mario, Super Mario on it, and if Donkey Kong weren't, I mean, it's incredible that there are only like 3 separate areas of this theme park, aren't there, overall?
Yeah, I think it's going to be different per region, but they completely like nixed plans for other Nintendo franchises. Like I don't even remember what it was. Maybe it was like Kirby or Yoshi or something, but at a certain point they were like, nope, get them out of there, Donkey Kong.
You'd think it'd be Kirby, Animal Crossing, Pokemon. No, they said Donkey Kong over
Fire Emblem, yeah. If you actually built this park based on what we've been getting from Nintendo since Tropical Freeze, it would basically be Animal Crossing, Fire Emblem, Zelda, Mario, Pokemon. Well, maybe not Pokemon, because Pokemon's always like kept on this tier almost above the rest of Nintendo at this point.
Yeah, it's good. It would have its own theme park.
Yeah, exactly, and
imagine.
it does. I believe in Japan.
I'm just imagining a Jurassic Park parody now.
Yeah, well, it's the kids like Jurassic Park again too. Everything comes back around. That's what I'm saying. Like nothing goes away forever unless it's something like weird and racist from its time. Like Charlie Chan. I don't think we're gonna see a Charlie Chan revival anytime soon. But if it's something like something in pop culture since at least the late 1970s and much earlier when it comes to comic book properties, it's something that's never going to go away completely ever again. So yeah. We would
know if Donkey Kong wasn't important to Nintendo at the moment because it would be represented by a volcano with an angry face in the corner of Super Mario World. No, whatever, Super Nintendo World.
No, they would give Donkey Kong a ski resort ride or something. Just something completely unrelated, unless you really stretch and look for a reason why it exists. Okay, so
and there'd be a big golden statue of Iwata staring at some bananas.
I would be okay with that. That would be a good tribute to the man. So we've got that, Joe, but we've also got other indications that Nintendo has plans for Donkey Kong. And not just plans for Donkey Kong, but plans for Donkey Kong's world, Donkey Kong lore, Donkey Kong Country, and Rare's creations, and now Retro's creations. You've got, on the record, we talked about this on the last episode, the DKU Tribunal, an associate producer or director, one of those, at Ubisoft, said that they specifically did not put the real Donkey Kong in the Mario and Rabbids game because they did not want to mix Mario and Donkey Kong lore too heavily. And we also believe that is the reason why we got such a cloudy cameo by Donkey Kong in Super Mario Odyssey. We can debate it all we want, whether it makes it DKU or not, but the fact is they went out of their way to not have Donkey Kong in New Donk City. They referenced Donkey Kong. They obviously gave shout-outs, but at the end of the day, it was a 2D sprite representation of Donkey Kong, nothing else, because they did not want to put the modern Donkey Kong in a mainline Mario game because they did not want to mix the two properties too much. You talked about the merchandise, Joe, but a lot of that is just down to licensing deals, and it's not really reflective of what the company's actual intent is at the moment. So I wouldn't use that as an indictment that they consider Donkey Kong nothing more than just a wing of the Super Mario. It's true to an extent, but
the way I see it, it's like they skirt around the issue, but they're never going to deny the fact that current Donkey Kong is not the one from the arcade games. Like, a lot of people seem to think, oh, who cares about what Rare came up with 20 years ago? Donkey Kong is Donkey Kong, and that's the end of it. When's Junior coming back? But I think Nintendo do respect that lore, and even though they won't outright say it, because, it's going to be bloody boring to have Mario turn to the screen and go, oh, by the way, kids, this is Donkey Kong Junior. He's a grown up. Although I'm the same age. Isn't that weird? How come Donkey Kong is now an older man, but Pauline is still young? They're not going to do that.
You say that's boring, but I would be unzipping my pants at that point.
But at the same time, even the other day, I fired up Smash Brothers Wii U with my long-suffering boyfriend, and we went on one of those team event matches, and immediately I see that it says, Mario's gone back in time to Donkey Kong, but he's got the wrong guy. I was like, oh, good, yeah, see, just little hints like that. That's all you need, really.
Exactly. Yeah. Really, they're kind of playing it to both fan bases, and you really look at how they've been doing it, especially in the last few years, and it is with some care. And we bitched and moaned about this during the buyout years when we thought the world was against us, despite us getting all those pay-on games, all of the rare GBA remakes, Diddy Kong Racing DS. We were, the world is against us. Critters were showing up in Mario football games. It's crazy how much we actually got during that era. But yeah, you look at the way they're doing things now, they are being very careful at preserving the integrity of Donkey Kong. And then we've got this quote from Reggie Fils-Aimé, and I'm just going to read this verbatim. So he said, with Odyssey, referring to Super Mario Odyssey, not Homer's, with Odyssey, we have had other sandbox experiences for Mario in the past, Mario 64 and Super Mario Sunshine. What's different here is the breadth of kingdoms, the Cappy mechanic, and so yes, a departure, but maybe not as radical. But with the mentality of creating an experience that the player says, wow, I've never done that before with a Mario game, that's what we try to do. Whether it's with a Metroid experience or a Donkey Kong experience, we've constantly looking to push the envelope on the IP versus doing sequential small iterations with a particular franchise. So he, this I think came about early November, this quote, and people were going ape shit, no pun intended, and trying to get me to react to it. And I just kind of played it cool at the time because honestly, it didn't really seem like a big deal at the time. So I didn't really run with it too much, but I've had some time to sit on it. Much like Potsy does, and I've had time to ruminate, and I think whether or not that was an intentional slip of the tongue or not, I definitely think he would not have referenced Donkey Kong had Reggie not been in on whether something Donkey Kong is coming or not. I think Reggie knows some things, and unconsciously he let it slip. Oh yeah, we're doing something big with Donkey Kong. Just you wait and see. So I don't know if that's going to come to any fruition in 2018. And I would hope that if they're doing something big with Donkey Kong, it would be the long-rumored, long-dreamt-about Donkey Kong 64 2-ish that we've been talking about ever since the president of Camelot said, oh, man, I'd love to make that game. Now, who would be making it? I don't know. I really don't know, Joe.
That sounds pretty cool. What I really like about the Switch, I mean, the two big Switch games we've had so far, Breath of the Wild and Mario Odyssey. Okay, Breath of the Wild started as a Wii U game, but the point is, what it feels like they've been doing lately is they're trying to reinvent every series and do the same concept but modernize it and do it in a different way, bigger and better than ever before. Pretty much what Reggie said in that quote, but yeah. I'm being a little more dramatic about it. Yeah. So I'd absolutely love to see. I mean, Donkey Kong 64 2. Not that.
Well, okay,
but something new done with
that. Look, I'm not saying when I say Donkey Kong 64 2-ish, I'm not saying I want to see Donkey Kong 64 2 Rodney's Revenge. What I want to see is a new take on a 3D Donkey Kong game that, no offense to Donkey Kong 64 and its legion of fans, but I want to see one that gets it right this time. That captures the spirit of Donkey Kong Country, but in a 3D physical space. That's what I want to see.
That would be amazing. Incredible.
Now, we haven't had many 2D platformers for the Switch. Certainly, we haven't had like a succession of new Super Mario Brothers games like we did early in the Wii U era for both the Wii U and the 3DS. But so that could open up, a way for Donkey Kong to still have an identity. He'll be the 2D platformer guy on the Switch, but. When I think
I'd be perfectly happy if we got Baja Blast, if we got something that reinvents Donkey Kong Country again, and we get like another reboot. What do we call Returns of Tropical Freeze? I don't know. The Returns it's just another Return. Oh, I don't know what I'm trying to say now.
No, yeah, but it was the Returns era. It's the Returns trilogy, even though we've only had two of them, and then that led us into the Renaissance. But I think, I want eventually a new 3D Donkey Kong game, and I want a third and perhaps final entry in the Returns trilogy. Whether or not Retro makes it or not, if you find a Monster Games took on the third one, just like a different team handled DKC 3 from DKC 1 or DKC 2. But when I think of where Donkey Kong could go first on the Switch, it's long been bandied about by all the critics who love Tropical Freeze or the critics who didn't discover Tropical Freeze until, unfortunately, it was too late. I want to see, much like we got Donkey Kong Country Returns 3D for the 3DS, I want a Tropical Freeze for the Switch. And it's a cliche at this point. Yes, let's just put all of the Wii U games that could have sold more on the Switch to give them a new chance at life. But Tropical Freeze was a brilliant game. It did not get a fair shake. And it being released on the Switch would be a good way to not only finally show off that game, but also reintroduce Donkey Kong for the massive built-in Switch audience and prep them for a new iteration for that generation sometime down the line.
Well, also, let's look at it this way. I mean, we've got our big Zelda and Mario games on Switch now. We've got Kirby and Yoshi on the way. Where can Nintendo go next? Donkey Kong. Or F-Zero.
Well, it's never going to be F-Zero, so Donkey Kong.
Or Mother 4. Or Mother 3.
So my prediction is Retro. I don't think they're making a new Donkey Kong game. I think it's a crapshoot whether or not we'll see Tropical Freeze reimagined on the Switch. I want to see it. A lot of people want to see it, but who's to say? But I also think something new and different is coming with Donkey Kong. That's still going to be respectful of Donkey Kong lore. I'm not saying it's going to be like Jungle Beat, where it's just completely, let's just reimagine everything with Donkey Kong because it's not fresh enough.
Oh, can you imagine the outrage if it's Jungle Beat 2?
Hey, I honestly, look, I love Jungle Beat so long as we're getting rare characters in some form or fashion. I would be okay with a return to Jungle Beat. I don't want to be tied to a peripheral like the DK bongos for an entire generation, but I would be okay if we got something along the lines of Jungle Beat, so long as we're still getting stuff in the vein of country as well. All right. Well, that's kind of a vague forecast for Donkey Kong, but I'm feeling optimistic about Donkey Kong. I really am. And whether or not 2018 is our year, I don't think we have to be in any state of panic.
No. Might take a couple more years, but something will be along in a couple of years, I'm sure.
Right. So let's talk about Playtonic real quick. Playtonic had their big year in 2017, the launch of Yooka-Laylee for all of the major consoles, and they got it in for the Switch right at the end here. And the Switch port, I haven't been really checking the response. I know a lot of people who've been waiting for the Switch port are happy with it. You get the usual naysayers, of course, who have issues with what Yooka-Laylee isn't. But for all those who are happy with what Yooka-Laylee is, I think the Switch port has gone over well. Playtonic took their time with it, and I think that's definitely paid off. There's obviously Yooka-Laylee's critical reception wasn't what Playtonic would have probably wanted, but I also think it's something they maybe were expecting as well, that there would be a mixed response to it.
I think it's a pretty vocal minority. I think there are, for every one dickhead moaning about Yooka-Laylee or every JonTron fanboy, there are 1,000 quiet people who have absolutely loved the game.
Oh yes, when in doubt, go to Richard Nixon's silent majority defense. I'm fine with it, whatever. I realize you don't get that reference, Joe. That's fine.
Is it similar to Donald Trump's lots of people have been saying? Yes,
pretty much. And actually, Donald Trump also used the silent majority during the campaign. So Playtonic in 2018, will we get a reveal for their next project? I honestly, it could go either way, which I realize is not an answer. It's just reiterating what we already don't know. Here's what I think we'll get. I feel fairly confident that Yooka DLC is in the works. And now that it's out for the Switch, we're going to have an announcement by the end of spring about Yooka DLC, an announcement and the launch of Yooka DLC. Whether this is an entirely new Grand Tome, I don't know, but it will be interesting. We've gotten hints that it's coming, and there is that the inept robot within Yooka-Laylee that keeps saying he's like counting down to something or counting up to something.
It's like 25%, 50%, isn't it?
Right. And so I think something's coming for Yooka, and it will be announced before spring is out. I think now that the Switch version is out, obviously they're having some downtime for the holidays. They're taking a well-deserved rest. I think Yooka DLC will be what they announce next.
Yeah,
definitely. As far as their next project goes, though, whether or not we get a full-on announcement at E3, I do think we'll start getting hints around E3. And I think we'll have a greater idea of what the game will entail, who will be the star of the game, supposedly a character we've already seen in Yooka-Laylee. Everybody is thinking it's Shell, the Jet Force Gemini type character, who is super vague.
She sticks out like a sore thumb.
And she was super vague, it hinted at all this lore that was completely ancillary to Yooka-Laylee. And yeah, you're right. Her design was built for an entirely different game. So I think it's going to be Shell. We think it's going to be Shell. We may get an announcement. I'm not saying we're going to get screenshots. I'm not saying we're going to get you think about Yooka-Laylee's development. It was announced in 2015, spring of 2015, and it took almost 2 years to come. I think it'll be pretty much the same. So I think once Yooka DLC gets out the door, we're going to start hearing about, I don't know, Shell sells shoe shells down by the seashore, whatever it's called. I hope they name it something like that. Just
sounds like the most boring video game ever.
it's going to be like a child learns mathematics game, yeah, where you have to count the seashells. So I'm looking forward to seeing what Playtonic it has for their sophomore effort, as well as what else they're going to do with Yooka-Laylee and how they're going to continue building the world of Yooka-Laylee. So,
Joe.
Joe.
She sells seashells first, and then maybe Yooka-Laylee after that, I hope.
Yeah, exactly. Which also just again sounds like it's going to be some sort of like stoner buddy comedy. Yooka-Laylee. Joe, any last predictions you have for 2018 as far as what we talked about? Or, Cameron's going to be coming in to talk about Rare here. Do you have any predictions about Rare? Obviously, we know what's coming from Rare, but do you have anything you'd like to chime in there about?
No, I think Sea of Thieves is clearly taking up all of their efforts, unless there's some kind of... I suppose it's a bit too late for Rare Replay DLC with all the Game Boy Advance games on it, isn't it? Much as I love playing It's Mr. Pants in HD.
You never know, yeah. I think Sea of Thieves is basically going to be it for Rare for the foreseeable future. That's not to say they aren't necessarily working on anything else, but I think the size of this game,
This game will be the decider for Rare, I think. We'll find out what they're doing based on how well this game does.
And I think it's going to do pretty well. I mean, there is hype for this game. It's hard to see outside of our bubble, and I realize that this is a weird thing to say, but it's Sea of Thieves has more going for it than any Rare game has since the buyout. Quite honestly, like the amount of hype, the amount of appeal it has. The technical alpha was a stroke of genius. The technical alpha has now ended. We're now entering the closed beta. But that has really stoked people's interest. It's got a lot of people to be able to play a fragment of the game and kind of whet their appetites. But thanks for being here, Joe. Happy New Year. You're actually going to experience a new year 5 years before me. So let me know if you hear about a Donkey Kong game before I do.
Do you mean 5 hours before you?
Yes. What?
5 years.
No. You live in the future, Joe. You're in the year 2023 right now. Let me know about any Donkey Kong game.
I just played Super Smash Brothers for Switch. It's amazing. 50 Fire Emblem characters.
Oh, fuck you. This is Hyle Russell from off of DK Vine. I'm here to talk to you about Patreon. Now, it seems like everyone has a Patreon these days. Us, the Pope, Charles Manson. But DK Vine takes pride in giving you a bit more bang for your buck. No, that would be prostitution. And my parole officer has made it quite clear that as your money is filtered back through the site, like a drug dealer launders their ill-gotten gains, we do more than just reward you with quality content. And I promise that we'll actually make quality content one of these days. I bought a book on how to do it, and Nick has promised to teach me how to read. But we also send you rewards. Annual stickers, bumper stickers, an upcoming exclusive t-shirt. We also give you early access to Kongversations and our YouTube videos, as well as let you listen in on our ramshackle recording methods. It's quite disappointing to see how this shit is made. So consider backing us for just $1 a month. That's only $12 a year. I just taught you math. All right, Cameron, Joe's gone. It's safe to come out.
Well, it wasn't Joe I was afraid of, Hyle.
Oh, whoops. All right, zip my pants back up. Hi, Cameron, how you doing? Happy New Year. I don't know. Is that a thing people do? They say Happy New Year? I don't know. So, Rare, Sea of Thieves, 2018. So, I feel like for these New Year's forecasts for the last couple of years, it's like, yeah, we might see Sea of Thieves. I don't really know. We have a release date now. We have concrete information and a game plan that Sea of Thieves is actually coming out, not behind any technical alpha, not even just a closed beta, although we will be getting that. But Sea of Thieves is coming out March 20th, 2018, the first day of spring. So, holy shit, it's almost here.
Yeah, for so long, it was always this question of, like, you know, how much longer is Sea of Thieves going to be in development? Like, what's the trajectory for a release date? And just now that we know it, like, damn, that feels really, really almost too close.
Yeah, it's too close for comfort, with all due respect to the classic 80s sitcom. It's, for the longest time, Sea of Thieves has just kind of been this comfortable, golden, like, shore on the horizon, if we're going to really dip into seafaring terms here.
And now the release date in the form of a well-armed galleon of well-coordinated pirates is barreling towards us.
Well, yeah, it's like, Sea of Thieves has always been this, oh, well, at the very least, we'll have Sea of Thieves coming out. Like, we always have Sea of Thieves to look forward to. And now that it's almost here, and I'm like, crap, am I ready for this? Like, this is going to be not only a huge release, but it's also going to be a time-consuming release. I need to, like, rearrange my schedule to actually have time to play this, because even towards the end of the technical alpha, I was starting to not have time to play Sea of Thieves because of all of my DK Vine obligations or what have you. And now it's, oh God, I'm going to have to make this a significant part of my life. Okay. So this is exciting, but
the model of the technical alpha has made this like really weird compared to like any pre-release period that I remember.
Yeah.
Like, do you feel that?
Yeah, it's... I'm really, really looking forward to playing Sea of Thieves, and I'm really looking forward to seeing the, I guess, appearance and form the final game takes. But it's also kind of like... It's been 2.5 years of hype at this point, and I'm almost like... anxious it's a weird word. I'm not like worried that it's going to disappoint, because at this point there's no way it could disappoint, because the technical alpha has been such a fulfilling thing that there's no way the final game can disappoint. If all we got was what was in a technical alpha, it would be a great game. So I'm not in any way anxious over that. I'm more anxious and just... Really, for me, it's going to be time management, because we've never had such an open world shared experience like Sea of Thieves from Rare or from the Donkey Kong universe. So it's pretty much again, I'm going to have to accommodate this game to make the most out of it, and I don't want to ever be apart from this game for longer than a few days, barring any exotic vacations or family tragedies. So yeah, that's kind of the part I'm hesitant about, if I'm up to the challenge that is Sea of Thieves, and I've got to find that fortitude very quickly.
Yeah, it's something as a community I think we're all going to have to like figure out how to coordinate this thing. And I don't say that in terms of matchmaking, because you don't have a hard time finding people to play with Sea of Thieves that I've found.
Right, but if we want to play with each other, then that's something that's definitely going to have to be.
But it seems daunting, but then like in theory, it sounds like really, really daunting. Like, geez, am I really going to carve out dedicated time in my life for this game? But then I remember that, like, for a good maybe, I don't know, something ridiculous, maybe like 6-7 years, I was like avidly playing Team Fortress 2 like any time I had free time on the PC, and I know friends of mine who have obsessively, like, tuned into Splatoon. Like, they're there every time they host a Splatfest. And, like, they've ranked up, like, to the maximum level, and just, like, it sounds, like, a little daunting, but I also think, like, we have it in us, and it's not going to be ridiculous.
Well, there's two aspects to this that I think are really troubling me, and I think it's just purely circumstantial. One, they announced the release date in the middle of December when you have all of this frantic holiday stuff going on, trying to juggle all the end of year stuff for DK Vine. I know you were coordinating our holiday card for the year, and then I was, I
fortunately enough in a time frame that I could slip the pre-order bonus into the holiday card.
right. But then I take that baton and I have to get all the physical holiday cards out, and there's all of these things going on in my life. December is an absolute anxiety riddled nightmare for me. So then to have Sea of Thieves being announced, it's coming in 3 months. And it's if it were any other month other than December, I don't think I would have felt that way. Two, I'm so used now to having Sea of Thieves doled out to me in these time managed intervals. It's like, oh, this Saturday you can play Sea of Thieves. It's like, oh, terrific, thank you. It's like dolloped out to me by Rare in little morsels here or there, and now that I'm actually going to be given the keys to the kitchen, I'm worried about gorging myself and getting sick.
Right,
so.
it's like having the structure of this is when you can play. It somehow like seems like more freeing than being told you can just do it whenever you want, because if you just tell yourself, oh, I can do this anytime I want, then you just don't get around to it.
Well, I think also, I think as a busy adult, having somebody else, even if it's the developer of the game itself, time manage for me is just the best thing in the world. So, Rare, if you want to keep doing that, if you want to like keep putting me on a Sea of Thieves schedule for when I can play it, I would be okay with that, quite honestly.
Just get something rigged up for his gamer tag. He can only be online for 3 hours each Saturday, or the console bricks. That's fine.
Saturdays doesn't usually work for me though anymore. So maybe it's like a Friday or so. Anyway,
see, this is another adult thing. I never know when everybody's working.
Exactly. Well, yeah, and Saturday it's like, oh, it's one of the only times I have free time I have to spend with my wife or something like that. So I didn't intend for this to become a therapy session about how much it sucks being an adult, and I'm sorry. 2018, yeah! So, obviously they've announced the pre-order bonus, the Black Dog pack that you can get. You can get all these customized outfits and instruments and weaponry in the game. It's all like this uniform, the Black Dog style. So obviously I did that straight away. And it's weird because usually I don't like just pre-ordering games like digitally like that. Like for me, I'm obviously going to pick up this game physically, but I felt like, well, I've got to get this bonus. I've got to get all the bonuses. I've got to be a completionist when it comes to Sea of Thieves and go in on everything that's ever offered for it.
I think you could pre-order the physical edition and still get the bonus.
All right, well, whatever. It's not like I'm gonna buy this game 3 times over, I'm sure. I
had an existential crisis trying to figure out whether to get it digitally or physically, because I'm a physical media hoarder when it comes to games I really, really like. And I'm anticipating liking Sea of Thieves a lot, and I wanted the snazzy skull box. But I think the way that the motivating factor in me finally getting the digital edition was Xbox Play Anywhere, which lets you play the game on your PC without a disc.
Right.
And I think at the moment that's only offered if you own a game digitally. So I kind of just weighed my options and went that direction, because something ever happens to my Xbox One, or I guess that's not a great endorsement right there, but or say, I upgrade my PC down the line and I'm still playing Sea of Thieves and I don't lug out my old hardware. It's convenience. And I'm anticipating I'll be playing this game for a great many years.
Yeah, and to be fair to the Xbox, I've never had an issue with the Xbox One. That has been a very reliable system. This is not a 360 where I went through 3 different iterations of it.
I feel like if I say my console is running all right, it's just going to it's going to be one of those like knock on wood things. It's just going to catch fire as soon as I say everything's fine.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I went in. I wasn't expecting to go ahead and like buy Sea of Thieves this December, so that was kind of a financial hit I wasn't expecting. Another financial, I don't want to even say burden because I love this thing so much. I would have probably spent double the price. I ended up, going in on it for it. But the controller, the exclusive limited edition Sea of Thieves Xbox controller. This thing,
very snazzy controller.
It's not snazzy. Doesn't do it justice, Cameron. Snazzy belittles it. This thing is a slice of God itself, just carved off of the creator, and it's descended to Earth on a wave of nebulas and unicorn rainbow. It's fantastic.
I think if this was carved from God, I think he's got some skin conditions to look at.
God could have barnacles, Cameron. You don't know. So for those of you who haven't seen it, just look it up real quick. It's on the Xbox store. You could do a quick Google search to pull it up. You're an adult or you're a very savvy child. But the Xbox controller for Sea of Thieves, it is purplish, which is a surprising design choice. I wouldn't have necessarily thought of myself, but it works. Purplish with kind of this green barnacle pattern all over it. It has a compass around the analog stick, the left analog stick, which is a beautiful touch. One of the triggers on the back is golden, so
I love this part of it so much. Just the asymmetric gold right trigger.
It kind of brings to mind a pirate's tooth, like a golden tooth, a solitary golden tooth.
That's the intent, but I love that they got that on a mass market controller. That's great.
And it's also got the Sea of Thieves skull in the center of the controller. And according to all of the information and various people on Twitter hyping this thing, this skull glows in a dark. The website says at sundown. Does that mean it's literally on a timer, or like what does that even mean? It glows at sundown, or just when the lights go out?
I mean, I thought maybe that meant it was glow in the dark, but I think from what I've seen, it looked like there might be like an LED in it. I'm not sure. Okay,
yeah, it looked a little bit more strong than just your standard glow in the dark paint. It looked like there was actually something illuminating out of it. I don't know yet, but this thing is just gorgeous, and I've never fallen for a controller quite like I've fallen for this. Literally, I had dreams about this and how much I needed this. It made me feel like a kid again, especially the N64 era, where the whole concept of you get different color controllers and you get to pick out which colors you have, and there's limited edition ones, and that whole concept that really started for me with the Nintendo 64 controllers and all the chase variants.
And I remember playing with friends in the N64, like of any other console I played with friends, like everybody had a favorite controller with the N64.
Yeah. My favorite besides the standard gray was the yellow one. Just I not like a Donkey Kong related one, but just the standard yellow one that came out upon launch. Had to get that one because it was the closest thing at the time to a banana yellow one. And I remember, I fell out of love with the whole, I got to get I got to get this variant of controller when the Donkey Kong 64 jungle console and controller came out at the time of DK64, because I had my N64 for close to 3 years at that point, and there was no way I was going to trade it in or be able to upgrade to this Donkey Kong 64 iteration of it. So that kind of broke my brain and broke the need to have every cool version or controller that they came out, even if it was for a game I wanted or was obsessed about. That kind of was the breaking point for me.
No, at least in that case, though, I think that was the Jungle Green Nintendo 64, right? So that was like an independent thing they were doing, like independent of DK64 itself, where they released towards the end of its life, they released the N64 in like a whole bunch of really nice, like transparent rainbow colors. And I think that was just like a tie-in. I don't think there was like any unique DK iconography on it, was there?
No, but they packaged Donkey Kong 64 with it, and they called it, the Donkey Kong 64 bundle. So,
I've never seen like a Donkey Kong product in the vein of like the Pikachu Nintendo 64.
No. Like we've gotten, some products, like they had that for the Wii U, they had that those controllers that are kind of shaped like the GameCube controllers. They're not GameCube controllers, but they're basically plastic GameCube controller shells. And they had the Donkey Kong version of that, which is just brown with the DK on it.
Was there also a Donkey Kong 64 N64 controller with the banana tips?
I've seen that, and
I don't know how people got it. I don't know if it was like a thing you had to like send a mailer into in Nintendo Power.
I honestly don't remember. I don't remember. I've seen that, and honestly, it could even be a custom at this point that just kind of been lost to time, and people just remember it as being a thing. But
I feel like I love that a lot more than the DK's brown fur and skin colored ones have been doing now.
Yeah. Well, again, if this was a skin, like you said, if this was a skin colored one, they would have to go see a dermatologist ASAP. But no, this is the coolest damn controller I've seen probably in 20 years. Well, in my entire life, if I'm being honest. But it's the first one I've been excited and ecstatic about, and I had to get. So I forgot that when you actually pre-order a physical product, you don't have to actually pay for it until it ships. So I was like putting it off until I got some extra cash from the holidays, some Christmas dollars, and so I pre-ordered it this week, and it was just like, oh, you'll be charged when it ships. Oh, well, I even have the money at that point, considering how fiscally irresponsible I can be when I get money in my pocket for this kind of thing. Oh well. Yeah, I love it, and it, I want to hit up the Xbox controller design lab now and just get Xbox controllers in the style of every Donkey Kong Universe game, including ones that aren't even for the Xbox, like sure Donkey Kong.
Then what you need to do is get 8 of them themed after all the Diddy Kong racing cars.
Oh, okay, yeah, I could do that.
Or I suppose that's 10 with drumstick and TT.
It is. Yeah,
Numbers.
Well, speak it. TT, the Sea of Thieves controller could be applicable for TT as well. We will see. Hashtag TT and Sea of Thieves. So there's also all this extra Sea of Thieves material that's being released around or after the game comes out. Obviously, we've got the art book, which is...
Yeah, the release date on that from I got an Amazon notification. That's coming out the same day as the game.
Yeah, so
because yes, of course I pre-ordered it. It's an art book.
Good thing I've already bought the game then. Good thing I've already been charged for the game. Of course, if I go buy physical versions and whatever, it's going to be like when Skylanders Superchargers came out, and on the day of the launch, I bought it for the Wii U. I bought the Dark Edition. I bought the Wii and 3DS versions, all in the same day. That was fun, and now you can get it for $3 at Toys R Us. The one with Donkey Kong, the starter pack. My God. But yeah, they've got the art book. They've also got the journal, the Tales from Sea of Thieves thing. Help me out there. I'm struggling with what it's actually called.
Tales from the Sea of Thieves. Yeah,
I was close. Yeah, I know. See, I know what I'm talking about, even when I don't. And then they've also announced a comic book that's coming out, which is not necessarily surprising, considering there's also like a Killer Instinct comic book that's currently on the market. But
it's a little more surprising to me because Killer Instinct has established characters. We don't know too many of those in Sea of Thieves, at least enough to write a comic.
I almost broke NDA. Whoops. I was going to mention potentially a character who we all know and love, those of us who have played Technical Alpha, especially near the end. But I won't get into that. It's an inside joke, man. I'm sorry if you don't know who I'm referring to.
I mean, for all we know, maybe the comic's about TT.
I would be okay with that. Yeah, it's funny. I guess Sea of Thieves is actually a very easy comic to do. Because it doesn't have to be about any character. Like, they can be original characters, and it wouldn't be antithetical to the spirit of Sea of Thieves. But still kind of surprising.
Yeah, I mean, and it could have as much to do with Sea of Thieves, I think, as the Pirates of the Caribbean movie had to do with the ride.
Oh, well, nothing at all then. Okay. Of course, they could also retroactively then insert any characters in the comic, like in like background elements of the game. We'll see if there's any acknowledgement of the comic book in the game, or if it's just one of these like licensed products that kind of fade into obscurity. I remember when Killer Instinct, the original Killer Instinct came out, there was also a Killer Instinct collectible card game, of all things. And you don't really hear that talked about too often these days. Well, Cameron, the big question about Sea of Thieves, and I guess the big question that DK Viners still have is, you guys keep talking about Sea of Thieves, and you keep saying it's like it's going to be a major part of DK Vine going forward, but what proof do we have that it's Donkey Kong Universe? I mean, you guys just did a Tribunal episode, and you said, oh, we can't cover Super Mario Odyssey, even though there's a whole Donkey Kong related world in that game. So what the fuck is Sea of Thieves? I don't care. It's being made by Rare. I don't care if it's Rare's greatest game of all time. You're breaking your own rules here. We don't know if it's Donkey Kong Universe or not. So Cameron, we are. I am very confident. I'm not speaking for you, but I'm very confident that it's Donkey Kong Universe.
I feel like through sheer force of will, it's going to be.
Yeah, it's one of those things. We're bullying Rare whether they like it or not. Yeah, so obviously, when TFTs was first announced, you'd see where my headspace is at. Good Lord, thank God this year's almost over. When Sea of Thieves was first announced, Greg Mails had that infamous tweet where there was a it wasn't an infamous tweet. He changed his profile picture on Twitter very momentarily to Captain Black Eye, and a version of Captain Black Eye we had never seen before. And I still stand by that Captain Black Eye. No, he's not from... I don't care what was said. That Captain Black Eye looked like it was made with Sea of Thieves assets. To my eye.
Not to me, but I don't think that... one doesn't negate the other. If it wasn't from Sea of Thieves, it could be.
Okay.
It could be a winking nod. It's.
Well, look. See, Captain Black Eye is going to turn up somewhere, somehow, some form of... Even if it's extremely hidden somewhere in the game, even if he's just hiding out in some cavern somewhere, sitting in the corner, he's in there somewhere. It's Rare knows we want it. I have made that abundantly clear when I was at Rare. Every time they've had the misfortune of stumbling across me, hiding in their trash bins, I have made that clear to them that we want Captain Black Eye. In every damn survey I filled out after playing the technical alpha, and they read the survey. They read every survey. So
that'll be how he shows up in the game. He'll just he'll at a random encounter just sail past your ship, and he'll stand on the bow and he'll shout, "Tell Hyle he can shut up now."
I thought you were going to say he was going to be taking surveys in the game. He was going to have Mr. Pants' clipboard and ask you how's your Sea of Thieves experience so far. let me take some notes here. So, okay, Captain Black Eye, that's one avenue. According to our weird rules, we would then classify the game as Fish and Chaps, a Banjo-Kazooie spinoff. Great. TT, though, again, another Greg Mails tweet. Greg Mails, you're doing this to yourself, my man. You're doing this to yourself. You're batting the beehive with a stick every time you do this. He tweeted TT standing in a Sea of Thieves tavern when Diddy Kong Racing's 20th anniversary was looming. And, this is going to be a big topic of conversation. We're going to be starting Season 6, or around the start of Season 6. This is going to be a topic for a conversation. Hashtag TT and Sea of Thieves. So I don't want to step on too many toes for this one, but there's a good chance, a very, very ludicrous chance. Ludicrous not just in the chance of it happening, but in the very idea of it happening is ludicrous. But we have this tweet, we have this image of TT in Sea of Thieves. In an early version of Sea of Thieves, but in a version of Sea of Thieves nonetheless. So, TT the stopwatch from Diddy Kong Racing may be in Sea of Thieves. And then that would make that a full-blown spin-off from off of Diddy Kong Racing, making Sea of Thieves an entire subsection of the Donkey Kong universe unto itself. How exciting and cool would that be? Cameron's been shocked into silence.
I mean, yeah, I really don't have a response to that. It would be one of the coolest possible ways they could bring this in.
Look, when Sea of Thieves was announced,
he's not the obvious pull.
No,
and I love that.
We were speculating when the game came out, well, Captain Black Eye could be in it, Royston could be in it as some sort of legendary sea monster, and I was like, okay, well, how about TT? And it's just this great gonzo, just totally out of the blue idea, and that the more you think about it, the more you love the idea. So,
and come on, everybody loves TT.
People cosplay as TT. People dance to TT's song and put it on YouTube. It's TT. I'm saying it right now. 2018 is going to be TT's year. Much like 2002 was Tricky's year. Much like 1999 was, well, not really Conker's year. 2001 was more Conker's year. Much like 1998 was Banjo's year. 2018 is going to be the year of the stopwatch. So, and if it isn't, we're going to bully them until it is, because that's the great thing about Sea of Thieves. They're always going to be they're going to be adding stuff to the game for years to come. So If at first you don't succeed, try again. Hey, try. TT! It's perfect. Happy New Year, everybody.
This has been a File 2 production.
Que rico.